Hello and welcome to the Wow Podcast. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. We are completely live tonight. We're live on Instagram and we're live on Spreaker, which means that we're going to be live on wowpodcast.shop. Go to wowpodcast.shop. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway, and what we're going to talk about this evening, wherever you are, it could be morning or even the afternoon, but what we're going to talk about is selling your book on the internet. It's a fantastic thing to do, but you can't always depend on the internet. But while the internet is up and running, before anyone is to cyber hack the internet yet again, you have to be able to have selling points and talking points about your book. So listen, guys, I've been writing books for over 11 years, and it is my pure and sheer goal to get you to purchase my books, but within reason. Now, if you're not into children's books at this current moment, that's fine. I've written men's and women's self-help books, relationship books, romance books, and poetry books. And some of those categories, I have to have a buyer. But right now, my main focal point is to sell these children's books, Anaya's Trip to Space and Anaya's Trip to the Rainbow, because I have a 2-year-old daughter at the moment, and it's important for me to get her sales up so she can have some financial resources that she can depend on later on in the future. Now, part of my primary goal with these books was to turn these books into an animation film or a cartoon series, and I'm getting very close to that. Maybe tonight I may post the 3D rendering of Anaya, of her character. I'm thinking about it. I'm not 100% for sure. I wanted to do a voiceover, but I may just post a picture. But anyway, talking points and selling points. So when you read Anaya's Trip to the Rainbow, this is one of those books where if you have a newborn child, boy or girl, once you read the story and you show them illustrations, no matter if their vision is a little blurry or whatever, that's not the point. The point is sitting down with your child and reading the book to them so they can start to become intelligent and articulate, and they can hear your voice, they can check out your mannerism. And as they get older, they'll be able to see the illustrations that you were talking about. So my books are written out of sheer quality time. So that's my selling point. That's my talking point. Anaya's Trip to the Rainbow, Anaya's Trip to Space. These books are going to have you able to spend quality time with your child. Take your time, read the books, explain what they're seeing in the illustrations, and let their imagination go wild. That is so important. You want to be able to focus on having their imagination go wild because they're children and they're your children. So these books right now are selling great. You can go to babyauthors.com. You can go to walmart.com. I prefer for you to go to my website, babyauthors.com, because it's direct to consumer. I get the book out quicker. I see your email. I ship out the book the next day. Okay? So, Anaya's Trip to the Rainbow, Anaya's Trip to Space. So, for those of you authors who are trying to get your book published or even self-published, there's a process to it. Now, when you go to a traditional publisher, you will submit your manuscript. So the manuscript in this particular book would be the illustrations I would send to them. This is about 12 pages. I would send my book to a publisher who is looking for material. Now, that publisher in today's time, and still from the past, they want to know, do you have an audience? Have you had any book sales? What is your goal with this book? What is the 5-year plan, so to speak? Believe it or not, those are the conversations that they're having with people who want to get their book published. You have to think the same way when you're self-publishing. When you self-publish, all the responsibility is on you. You are the one that has to pay your bills. The publisher doesn't have to pay your bills. So it's your goal to make sure that when you self-publish, that you dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure that everyone knows about your book. So I transitioned over into children's books because I realized that children are born every day, at least every week, for sure every month, and most definitely every year. So that keeps my books in rotation on a weekly and monthly basis, and surely yearly. So when I realized that I was writing poetry, men's and women's self-help books, romance novels, and relationship books, I realized that they had a 2-year lifespan. And that 2-year lifespan, it was good if I made a good spurt in the first 6 months, definitely the first year. But after 2 years, I had to come out with another book. So I have a total of 22 books. So mind you, every time one would run out, someone would say, hey, when is the next book coming? When is the next book coming? And I would say, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So now I'm at a point now, even with the podcast, I'm at a point now where I'm so situated to where I have a book, a children's book that comes out once a year. I can do the marketing that whole entire year. I can focus on one book a year. So this book right here made it inside Walmart. I took an entire year to promote this book. One of the best-selling books to this date for me. I'm still trying to get it on New York Times bestseller, but it's still a best-selling book. I took a year in marketing this. I'm still marketing this. Anaya's Trip to Space came out in July of 2017. So I have until July 2018 to continue to market this book. But it's not going to stop. So a children's book, I take my time, come out with a book once a year. Now, my podcast comes out on a Wednesday, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, once a week. I'm already into season 2. We got season 1 that's wrapped up. Episode 2 just launched today. So go to wildpodcast.shop. Go check it out. Great interviews. We got KG Patron on there. She's talking about her book, Cycles of Time. Revenge is Mine. Great book. But what you have to be able to do as an author, a self-published author, you have to be able to have your selling points and your talking points. You need to know about your book from the front cover to the back cover. No one should be able to tell you about your book. Actually, when you're trying to sell your book, you should be able to answer every question before that person says, how much does it cost? So that is my tip to you guys. We're live. We're on Instagram, and I'm on Spreaker Studio Live. We're going to be live on wildpodcast.shop. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway, and we're going to go on over to Facebook and go live with them and see what's going on. I think I need to get me another phone so I can do 2 things at one time. But I just wanted to give you guys some tips and some pointers about books. Keep in mind, too, everyone feels like their book is better than the next person and da-da-da-da-da. But you have to have a reason for your consumer, your reader, to want to purchase your book. Okay? Now, just because this is a children's book doesn't make it easy. But I made it easy for myself to have a selling point because children need to enjoy their childhood. And that's what these books are about. Children enjoying their childhood. I mean, think about it. My daughter's 2 years old. What is she doing in space by herself? It's just the imagination. Let your imagination run wild. It's a great book. This book right here, Anaya's Trip to Space, is a sing-along book, but I wrote it in which you can read it in its plain mannerism. It's a great book. It's selling pretty good. We just sold 12 copies yesterday, which is phenomenal. 12 copies in 1 hour. That's great. Okay, we very proud of that. So Anaya's Trip to Space and Anaya's Trip to the Rainbow, 2 best-selling books to this day. It's 2017. Guys, go to babyauthors.com, BABYAUTHORS.com. Go check out the book. This is your host, Darshawn McAway. You're listening to Wow Podcast. If you want to be a part of the show, to talk about your books and come into the studio, go to the contact page, send me an email. Let me go back and forth with you, try to get you onto the show. If you stay too far away, that's no problem. We'll do an over-the-phone interview. I'm here. I want to help you guys out. My goal is to talk to authors, writers, and illustrators. I want to find out your story. I want to see what's going on with you. It's very important for me to let the world know who you are because I'm having my chance to let the world know who I am. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. You're listening to Wow Podcast. Go to wowpodcast.shop. That's WOW podcast.shop.